Hello there, survivors, and welcome back. Whoa, look at that. Why is my screen down the middle? That's not supposed to be happening. It still moves. Well, that sure is a great new feature. That's not what I see in game, by the way. That's not what I see in game. So this is not ARK this time. What the heck's going on there? There we go. There we go. That's what I see in game. That's the normal way to see this game. Not down the middle some reason. That's quite weird. But hello there, everyone. Welcome in. Welcome in. Merry Christmas, of course. Merry Christmas. Hopefully you've all had a good Christmas if you're celebrating. Today we're going to take on this lovely tower that is on the new Lost Colony map. You might have seen it. It's not hard to spot because it is a rather large tower. As you can see, it is in this beautiful valley. It's got some really cool views. You can actually see it for miles and miles and miles away, and this seems to be quite a good location to build in because it has a lot of flat areas to work with, and that means we can build. I'm gonna try and rebuild it into a cool base. We have the areas down here that we can utilize for that. I've already tried to line up the foundations kind of in the middle here. That hopefully will work. And then we have all these balconies on this side, but we also have this level up here. Look at my little shark dude. And up here, we also have a decent part in the tower and a little part out here which leads to this pathway out there. So yeah, we have plenty of space to work with. Definitely a big base. We'll see how far we can get today. But yeah, you know, it's been a while since we did a, well, I can't really call this a ruin, but since we did a rebuild. And yeah, we're gonna try and rebuild this place and see how that is going. Hello there. I am streaming on Twitch for the first time in a while. Well, I did a super secret test stream yesterday. But yeah, I can finally multi-stream again without performance issues. At least yesterday everything went well. Everything was fine. So I'm hoping we can keep that up today and we can have a nice issue-free stream. But you know, well, don't want to jinx myself. Might have just done that. So yeah, I have kind of played around a little bit with what are the options we could work with, or that you could work with if you're working on a Gothic base, and maybe you think these structures, these skins are maybe a little bit too busy, especially for bigger builds. That's what I was thinking, at least. You know, bigger builds is it's a bit much. And that's what I've tried out here. So this is a few different variations. So first of all, this is of course just a Lost Colony skin. Then we have greenhouse glass painted, well, just a red on the glass regions, which I think is the 5th. And the same over here with the doorway. So you could make some taller windows that are slightly more like this. Then we also have the Castlecraft cosmetic going on here, which you can see down there on the foundation. And on this wall, painted in the, I think, the gunmetal color. And then we have the stained glass from Castlecraft here as well, painted red. So yeah, there we go. There we go. So that's kind of the options we have. I do think that even the normal walls painted in the gunmetal, they look quite nice. So even if you want to keep it vanilla, that's definitely a nice option. I actually really like that there's still a little bit of snow going on, which is quite cool. But I do think we'll go for the Castlecraft just because of the more options for the windows. So I think that is just going to be the one to go. And then we probably will try to have a few of these accents in the base somewhere to kind of match the aesthetic of the map. But definitely, if you want to keep vanilla, this could be a really good option. Painting the windows red and gunmetal on the walls to make them a little bit darker. I mean, you could other black colors also work. I just kind of liked what this ended up looking like. So it's definitely a good option if you want to go for that. So there we go. We have a pretty nice range, I think. I think we can work with that. Definitely seems like there are plenty of options. Actually excited to know that these options are here, because if I do another like Gothic house, I definitely will probably try and keep it more vanilla, and then we can use some of those options. But for this build, I think, yeah, getting Castlecraft is definitely not a bad shout. Might even be on sale right now. I don't know if the premium mod sale is still going on. But yeah, we're here. Let's get going. But yeah, I'm quite happy with the looks of those options. I think they all look quite nice. So yeah, gunmetal for the walls and red for the windows is what I used. Definitely seems to be a pretty decent option. Now, there's a few things we probably want to grab and put on the hotbar. Let's just kind of grab those at least. Maybe we'll keep the... Oh, well, that wasn't very helpful. I tried to move my skins, but... that's not the skins. Let's probably keep those on the hotbar. That might be useful. And maybe even get the Lost Colony one on the hotbar. Maybe that is pretty helpful. Actually, probably better off using that on the hotbar. That's something we're going to use more often. So let's bring all those out and see if that works. Hello there, hello there. Yeah, exactly. So it's still on sale. So definitely could be a good option if you want to do some Gothic-y builds. For sure. So what I've done is I've basically lined up the foundations pretty much perfectly with the center. It's a little slightly off, but it's good enough, I hope. We'll find out as we start to lay down more of the foundations whether it's actually good. I also don't know if we'll do like foundations to the very edge. Probably not, because this is actually a really cool like balcony design, so we might keep some of the edges you know, non-foundationed. We'll see. The main job for the downstairs building is that we need to somehow connect the building up to the top here, because I think it would be nice if there's some kind of staircase leading up to the top layer. What are you using for the glass? It's all... So these options on the left is Castlecraft painted with gunmetal on the stone and just red on the windows, and then this is just vanilla painted with red accents, greenhouse glass, which also looks fine, honestly. If you want to go for a vanilla build, that could definitely work, but obviously the arches you can get with Castlecraft just really help with the more Gothic feel of the build. So yeah, we'll definitely be going for that. And yeah, I think it is time to start laying down some foundations. So we have a few over here. We're just gonna see where this ends up at. I think, yeah, it looks like it should be pretty aligned here as well. Again, I don't know if we're gonna actually foundation off the entire building, because I mean, I think it would be nice to have some balconies going on, obviously, but we'll definitely go for a little bit. I think first of all, we're probably gonna design this main room though. So for now, I think what we'll try to do is just kind of focus on getting this main room foundationed and see how that works. So I think that looks like it's going pretty nicely along that line, actually. That seems pretty equal to where I did it here, right? Like, yeah, that feels roughly around the same place. So again, we're just going to do the foundations first for this bottom part, because then we can kind of design this first hall, the entrances to the different sides, before we move on to the balconies and think of a way to, well, build up the main structures that we're going to have to do ourselves. Because, of course, everything below this, we only really need the gates, and then you could close off. Like, you need some walls and gates, and then you have this middle part done, which I think is going to be quite convenient if you'd want to use this as a base, because realistically, as soon as I've got these foundations in here and I place some gates on each end, I could totally start living here, right? Like, it is very easy to secure a location like this and then slowly work on building up the rest of the layers. So yeah, I think if we go until there, that seems pretty fair for this side. It's just kind of a feeling based. I don't know if there's an exact science to it. Probably not, because usually these places don't necessarily perfectly align with pre-build or like with the normal structures. Like, pre-built structures don't usually fit the same kind of sizes, but we'll see. Let's first of all try to see what this would look like. It actually does fit within those arches, so I think it is definitely an option to use. I'm not sure if we'll use the gates everywhere, like the gate itself, but the posts we can definitely use as some cool big pillars for sure. So let's see. We want to have one here, and this one obviously we will want to have a gate because that's one of the entrances, so hopefully it will fit. And I think it actually is a pretty nice looking gate. Yeah, it is. So this already fits in quite nicely. Yeah, the Gothic windows being missing, I mean, they did it so well with the first skin they did, the Frontier skin. So good because they gave us a window option. I don't know how they didn't realize that they should have done that for all of the options, because we always want more windows. Because greenhouse is not a very nice looking window. Okay, so we would have another one here. Yeah, I definitely think we want to have those big pillars on each side. I think that is gonna be quite a nice look, because honestly these gate skins just have very nice little accents and details on it that we can't really get any other way. So I definitely think that is a good thing to get. Then over here, of course, there's not a lot that is left to fill in. Did I actually... Wait. I might have to delete this for now. Okay. Well, that's a big broken gate. I need to be able to see if I can snap a wall or something down here. We kind of have. So that should be the wall. Can I keep it? Oh, there's no foundation there. Hello there, Sarge. Welcome in. Welcome in. So the main issue that we have here, or maybe we don't. Maybe I actually managed to snap a foundation down there. That would be very helpful if I did. I think I did. Awesome. I mean, if that is actually in the right spot, which it appears to be, that is going to be very helpful. So yeah, we want to definitely have the main gate be a nice behemoth gate, because just the little spikes they have on those, that's probably my favorite part of the entire skid in general, which is really nice. And then I think these walls will just have, we don't really need a lot of detail on these. It's just because, I mean, most of this is already filled in now with these. Oh no, yeah. Most spots do not really align with vanilla structures, unfortunately. It's kind of what I assume instantly when I start building one of these spots. But yeah, I mean, that gate really helps. So we're gonna get all the regions and the gunmetal. Oh, not the charcoal. The gunmetal, I think, is what I used. So I'm using the ASR painter because that just makes painting a little bit easier since I don't have to craft the paint. But of course, vanilla would work the same. You just need more paint yourself. There we go. That fills in those gaps. I guess now the main one is going to be what will be the main shape, because normally this is what you would do, and the issue with that is that there's still kind of gaps. I guess we could build into these gaps. Because I guess we could have more shallow slopes. Okay, maybe I need to open this gate. Maybe that will help me. There we go. So yeah, I don't know if that's probably not going to be possible if you're trying to do this on official, but in my experience, doing these rebuilds on official is a little bit more tricky anyway with like the clipping and everything. At least what I've heard in my comments. There we go. I don't think I'm gonna do paint all just because, well, now it wouldn't have mattered too much yet, but eventually we're gonna have structures we don't want to paint. So better to not use it. Yeah, I used the ASR foundations as well to help me with placing the foundations. Which, I mean, it's never going to be perfect. I think that's just something you need to accept. But at least it's now kind of aligning with all of the different sides pretty well, instead of just aligning with one side very, very well. That's the choice I decided to end up making. You know, prioritize one above many. Let's see. So we have the gate, very easy. We could just kind of fill up the rest of the wall, but I feel like we kind of at least probably want to have some windows in here. So maybe to the side we can have some windows. There we go. Something like this. It's not a lot of walls that are needed to fill in this place, to be honest. Then we want to use the trim skins on these so that we can get some tall windows there. And we can use normal skins on the rest of this. There we go. Let's start painting these. Oh, almost done. And then, yeah, we want to shape up these windows in the right way. So we want to get those arches in. There we go. I think that looks pretty nice. And then we want to add in our windows. We can skin those windows. Or maybe I need to use the trim skin. Is that it? Yeah. There we go. And then for the full effect, we want to go and paint these red. We do want to make sure that we are looking at the right one. Yeah, that's gonna look quite cool. Yeah, look at that. That is pretty nice. That fits the vibe. What we also might want to do is have like a... Is it a deco box or is it a trophy? I always forget. Might be a trophy actually. Let's see. No, it's definitely a trophy. Because we could have a little bit of a statue over here. Yeah, it's always a shame when people claim like an epic spot like this and then just end up building a box. It's always a bit frustrating. I mean, I think the dragon's probably the best one. We can, of course, make that a bit bigger like that. Look at that. And then I guess we can also change its color. I mean, I don't know if I want to necessarily make it red. Probably not. There we go. Yeah, look at that. That is pretty cool. I mean, it's a very simple wall, of course, since the gate does most of the work. But I do think this works with those nice clean bricks that now are painted. And then these Lost Colony structures, making it stand out a little bit. Quite an easy way. And honestly, this is the main thing you need to protect, because this connects up to all the paths here in the mountains. But yeah, that is a nice looking gate. There we go. We have plenty of more work to do, though. I think realistically we need to decide where the stairs are going to be. I think having the stairs in the buildings on the side is going to be much easier, and then we can kind of just have a normal build going out this way. I feel like that's probably the way to do this. I think so, at least. I guess we'll find out if that's the right way to do it, but I feel like probably that is the best way. That means for now, though, I at least want to build up the walls next to these entrances, because, well, realistically, there's not a lot of work to it, because it's kind of just placing these two large walls in, then we're done. I guess the main thing is, I mean, I definitely don't want to have the gates in here, because if I have the gates in there, it's going to be very hard to have those open and close. I guess what we could have is have smaller gates in the big gate. That could look quite nice. And then we can use these ones. Which I guess means the biggest creatures you could have in this hallway, which probably is big enough, let's be honest. This is quite a big place. And then creatures that still fit through these arches can still go off to the different directions, I suppose. Because, I mean, it's just a nice structure. It does also mean we'll need some pillars in there, because we need the step points up here, you know, to fill in the rest of the walls. Because, I mean, I guess I could have snapped it to these walls as well, I guess. Maybe I should do that. Then we don't waste any structures that we don't even really see. I guess we don't really need them either. So, yeah, that would be the Now look. These would all be stones. Same over there. And I guess we can do that for all of these different sides. Maybe wait up with painting a little bit. Because otherwise it's going to take quite a while. We might as well do it after we've done the majority of this. And then I guess would this mostly just be a wall? Because it's going to be an interior wall, right? Because most likely we'll have well, we will have a building on each side, I suppose. I guess that's probably something we should look into first. Let's see kind of what shape we want to make. So this is 2 wide, so that would be 4 wide, 6 wide, 8, 10. And then we could probably go for 12. 12, we still have a decent shape on the outside. I think that is what we're going to go for now. Because I kind of like the idea of still having balconies around the building we end up making. I think that is quite nice. Because again, some of these structures that are here, they're a lot nicer than any fencing we can build. So, yeah, I think that is nothing more than reasonable to keep those. How far do we want this build to go, though? I guess it depends on what you want to do. I guess you don't really need like a transmitter with like a room for a boss army. That's not really... I mean, I guess it could be a thing. Can you launch your own boss fights, or do you have to go to the city? I don't even know. I've not got that far. I don't know if we need to keep that in mind. But I guess potentially we could have like a bit of a bigger landing spot for like flies, etc. Because at some point the building is big enough, right? We don't have to go all the way to the edge, probably. So what we most likely want to end up doing is kind of design some nice windows, I think. Something like that. Hello there. Welcome in. Welcome in. There we are. So that would kind of be the start of this layer, and then we could have these things as the window shapes, because that would turn into these. Is that something I want to have, or do I want to just keep it like this? And then we could have the pillars in the middle of these sections, I think. There we go. That's kind of a nice wall section, I would say. And especially if we then add more actual windows in here. There we go. Let's clear this weather because it's getting a bit snowy. Okay, and I think now if I change this, it should look quite nice already. You know, or evil vampire outpost. It's Epic Tower. Because we're pretty much building another castle, let's be honest. Yeah, I think that is pretty nice, right? Some nice windows like this. The main question is what do we do for any kind of next layer? Just for example, we could do something like this and have a layer of roofs in here. Because again, it is already a pretty big building, so we don't need that much more. And then we can start the second layer over there. There we go. I think that could definitely work. And then we could have some nice details here above the windows that we have. I think that looks pretty nice. Would we want anything like that? Do we like the pointy roofs on these builds? I don't know. I mean, some of the builds in the city definitely do have those big points at the ends. I'm using the Castlecraft cosmetic for the windows. I mean, I think this is a pretty good option for the roofs here. I think I like that. To create a little bit more of those spikes that we see on some of the existing architecture on the map. And with these, we don't have to go quite as steep. It just creates a little bit more interest, I think. There we go. And then I think we'll probably go for the actual Lost Colony roofs. I think that is quite a nice option. Because I do actually quite like the roof texture. I just wish there was a variant with a little window in it, like the steampunk one has. That would have been very nice. Okay, there we go. So slowly but surely we are getting a pretty nice site together here. And I think then if we have these pillars also be a skin, I think that's going to be another nice little accent if we have the Castlecraft painted walls in between everything. I think that is going to combine in quite a cool way. Do I want to have those? I kind of do, I think. Because again, quite like those textures and the way that's going to balance. And then if we use these around, I think that is going to make for quite a cool wall. Probably want to take out our paint now. What do I have? Okay. There we go. We can kind of see what this side is going to look like. There we go. Yeah, that's all that's really is missing, isn't it? Just a cleaner wall. That really helps so much already to create a much nicer build. And just for full effect, let's create these dark red windows, because I do quite like the effect of that, because of course it fits all the red accents in the Lost Colony skins. It fits the whole theme that the map has going. So I think that is definitely the way to go. Yeah, look at that. That is pretty nice. That is pretty nice indeed. Now, is there in fact a window skin for this size is what I wonder. I don't think there is. Because that could have been nice to create some more shapes. But I guess, I mean, it's still pretty good, just like this. And I think what I then want for the top, since we're using Castlecraft anyway, like you could definitely, the railings, you could change those into steampunk ones. They are very nice, but I think these are slightly better. This is really what I wish we would have had as an alternative in the Lost Colony skins for railings, because that would have been quite useful and quite nice. There we go. I think that fits quite well this way. Some nice windows. The only thing that I would like to do is create a little bit more depth on the sides. So what I might try to do is some of these. That feels... Oh yeah, we have all sorts of those. Maybe a little bit lower. Maybe that's all we really need. We could create some nice arches here, because I think that we can create into an arch. And then if we got that one on there, it should look quite nice. And we then want to have... Oh yeah, I think that is the addition we need. So I guess let's add those along the sides. There we go. And we'll just have these on top. And then I guess we are gonna do the final pillar first before we add in... Oh, I added a pillar there. That's not where I wanted. There we go. And then we can add the skins to them. And it should give us a pretty nice look. So we want to do these ones first. The castle skin on those. And then the trim for the top layer. There we are. And then get those bigger variants in there. And I guess we also, at the same time, want to make sure that we add the arch. Oh god. Arch in. There we are. Okay. Yeah, and that's just gonna make sure that it isn't as flat of a wall. It's just a bit more interesting this way. We can, of course, also... oh god. Okay, surely if I look at the inside here, it is in fact gonna paint the doorways and not the pillar. There we go. Awesome. Yeah, I think that works. It's going to be a pretty big addition already just on this side, let's be honest. is going to be a rather large building. So now that we have that layer of the build, I think what's next is adding some ceilings around here. Which I guess is going to meet up all the way here at where the doorway is. And then actually I think we're going to want some of these railings around the edge. Not down there. Because we're going to have more balconies up here. It's all about those layers. We're going to create those layers. I'm not too worried about the front just yet. That's a future me problem. But I do know that I want a balcony along the side here just because, well, look at these railings. They are very nice for balconies. So I want to add a little bit of that to create some nice effects here. And then I think what we could potentially do for the top layer is once again have some of these gates, but then in an offset, so it's a little bit more interesting. I'm not sure if I want to add the last one, because that kind of depends on what the front is going to do, you know, what's going to happen on there. So we'll see. Hello there, Blame It. Welcome in, welcome in. Thanks for the follow. Okay, let's see. Because these arches just look very nice, and for a big build like this, I think we're going to need it. Now, the main question on this side that I have is potentially we could actually have a lot of these arches because we could have windows in a few. So let's say that these are the windows, so offset with the ones that we had. But we could also use some of these as actual access points to the balcony. So we can turn these into windows. I think that would look quite nice. Just because of all those little arches that are now just going to keep on going. I think here at the final wall, I am just going to go for the full walls just because it is so close to that gate. But this also kind of leads up to how high we need this to go in the first place, which is quite useful. So I think here at the end we'll do the same thing, and then I'll need at least one of these layers to go all the way across from one side to the other, of course. There we go. I mean, I think that looks quite nice actually. We definitely want to have those pillars. And then I guess wherever we have the gates, we could have a pillar above it to kind of match the normal pattern that we would have, I think. And then I guess these would all be the castle walls. Oh, and then these, of course, would also be those pillars. There we are. So, what would that look like if we have like one open there, one open here. I will say the only downside to this is that it starts with a window and it ends with a door. But I guess the only way to not have that is have another gate here. So let's wait until we see what we do at the front, because we can always, you know, either add another gate here or add one there, which is both fine. And yeah, you can still walk around these once it's open, so the balcony is big enough. Do I want these? I think I do. So we'll go along the edge. There we go. Is this still painting? Yeah, it's still painting the right thing. We can get this wall nicely painted. Awesome. So yeah, I think that is definitely looking pretty nice. And I guess then, I mean, still one of the main things is, of course, what the end of this build is going to be. Let's at least kind of connect the foundations across. And I suppose that pretty soon I'm going to have to start copying this over. So we might as well add a little bit of the structure in here. So every 4, we're going to add in these pillars that are 4 high, so that we can already match the aesthetic we established on the other side. And then I also think it's time to reset the sun before it's gonna set, because it's getting pretty low in the sky. There we go. So yeah, we would have these walls in place. There we go. We can start building up this wall a little bit. Because realistically, we just kind of need to know exactly where the roofs are going to meet to make a good decision on the front of the building, I think. So let's make sure we add those in. And we can start transforming some of this. There we are. Okay, good. We can create some nice windows. Awesome. And of course, the castle walls all the way across. There we go. It is pretty easy to match the designs, of course, from one side to the other. But that is hopefully going to help us kind of determine whether or not we like what we have created, and more importantly, because I think we do like what we've created, but more importantly, we can help shape up the actual front or the end of this build, or this side of the building, so that we know how that is going to look. But yeah, I do think that in general this is going to be a pretty nice hall. Definitely a very spacious hall already. Like, just this thing could probably house everything you need. There we go. We have these little additions that we want to make. Oh, I'm missing a piece there. So let's make sure that we add that in. There we go. And then of course we want to have our railings. Awesome. That's looking quite nice. Now I want to make sure that that ceiling is going to face the same way as the one on the other side. I assume it will, because it would be kind of strange if it didn't, because there's no different way of snapping these, but better to check. There we are. So we'll bring this all the way across. And I guess we can start skinning these roofs. There we go. That is getting there. We want to change these to the dungeon skin. Awesome. Again, that's a pretty good start. And then I guess we want to add the railings. All the way till the very end. We can add those skins too, so that we get those nice balconies on there. Awesome. And I guess that's where we want to have another wall. Just a window, and then we want to have a bunch of gates. And then we have another pillar. And we have some more walls over there. And I guess we can bring these across the top. There we go. And then of course some of these will be windows, others will be gates. So we can start filling in the windows first. You know, get some nice lights into the castle so that we can see everything. And then I guess we want to have a bunch of the actual gates in there. I mean, it even is going to let me do that. I don't think I'll do it because it's going to be too busy to have all of those opened, but you could use them as giant shutters technically. Again, that might get very, very busy, but this already does the trick quite well. So we'll have those going on. Actually, we want to have those pillars on top of each of those gates that are actually used as gates. There we go. Nice. And then the rest of this quite easily. Oh, there's definitely... Oh no, there's a wall. It just goes invisible when you try to place it. There we go. That is onto the same height now on both sides. So maybe let's add our paint in so that we can really get the right vibe of the entire place. But yeah, I think so far it is going pretty well. Building a very big base, because look at how much space we're going to have in here. This is going to be... You can have your entire base in this building, and there's going to be so much more. So I guess there's going to be lots of breeding opportunities in this base, that's for sure. So even if you want to breed an entire Occident army, it's going to not be any issues over here. There we go. We want to do the windows, of course. Get those nice red glows on them. And we're going to do that for each and every window. Yeah, I really like the red glow on the windows. Very, very nice. There we are. Okay, well, that definitely helps. Actually, we still need to add the red glow over on this side. But yeah, the red stained glass is... Oh, I wish that was in the normal skin. I don't know why they didn't do it. I really hope they will. I kind of, you know, seeing the Winter Wonderland skins especially, kind of hope they just hire more of the mod makers to help with skins, because they do such a good job. And it would really be nice if we also got official skins for the smithy and all of the other utilities, you know, so that you can have the entire base in the same vibe on official skins, so that everyone sees the skins, which is of course the bigger advantage of the official skins. All right, let's start filling in, if it lets me, the foundation of this build, because that's going to be important if we're going to be working on the roof. So we're going to add a bunch more foundations, and that will hopefully give us all the support for the roof. Should do. Yeah, and especially some of these more recent skins, like all of, except for the Frontier one, I feel like that is one you can use a lot of without it getting crazy. But the other ones are quite busy, so if you don't mix them, it gets very crazy. Which is definitely this Lost Colony one is very busy. So it can be nice, but if you use it on the entire base, I think that's going to be a bit crazy. A bit much. There we go. We should have the support now for our base. The bigger question is, of course, what is this outside going to look like? Potentially, we could have this being built out a little bit. No, actually, I think I know what I want to do. Yeah, Steampunk was very busy, and then it was busy on both sides in different ways, which was even more difficult to handle. So I think what I want to do is try to kind of round off the building here. Maybe have a nice shape like that. So that's 4, 5, 6. 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Look at that. Perfect. Because then we could kind of round the building over here. That would mean changing... Of course. It's always going to break my pillars. It's always going to break my pillars. Always. Can you please not break my pillars for once? Yeah, because I think that's just going to add a nice shape to the building. You actually see a lot of these rounded roofs and buildings in the main city too. So we're kind of trying to make this building really fit in the style and shape of a lot of the architecture that we already see. There we go. We can go fill in all the sides. Bunch of triangles. Okay, so we have the final side, and I kind of think that we might go for something like this just because of the way that could look. And then I think we want to have a gate there in the middle. So that's going to be gates. There we go. Oh, and we definitely want to have those skinned. All right. And then, of course, these insides are going to get our lovely windows. And a nice window over here. Or alternatively, we could actually have just more windows here. Maybe that is the vibe we're going for. More windows at the very end. There we are. Some big, nice windows, letting all the light. Enjoy the views, etc. There we go. And then I think we can just have, I mean, we know we just need one layer on top of this to connect all these different parts. Probably have at least some pillars up there to kind of connect back up, and then I guess maybe in the middle we'd want to have another one to spruce things up a bit, and then pretty sure that that's just going to be more castle to go all the way around. There we go. And then we have the paint for all windows. And we're gonna do a bunch of painting again, but it's definitely gonna be worth it. There we go. Now, of course, this layer we want to paint for gunmetal again to make sure that it blends in very nicely. We can do that all the way around. There we go. I think I like that look. Of course, means that we can have these over here, some nice stairs leading up to the building. It's really all we need. We still need to build these on the other side too, but that's a small little detail. We know how to add those. Then we can start on the roof. So that is actually just going to be these triangles all the way around the edge. Oh, nope. Nope. And then down here, I mean, it's going to be impossible to kind of create like any form of... No, yeah, we can't really build like the same kind of peaks as we have there. So we kind of just need to follow this along the edge. Because yeah, that's going to be... It's not really possible on these triangle pieces. There we go. So that just kind of rotates around like that. Which also means we can, of course, continue our walkway. So the balcony can actually just continue around the side, which is pretty nice. Oh, my dino detergent is kind of pushing them around my base because of all the railings in the walls. They can't really go anywhere. But that is fine. So we have those now. Then we want to add in or continue our railings around the outside here. That is very nice. We can then add in more skins. There we go. All the way around. Connect up the walkways again. There we go. We also, of course, want to skin the roofs. We want to make sure that those meet up with each other. So we're just gonna change all these to make sure they match the right aesthetic. And we can kind of continue these all the way through to the end. Awesome. That looks quite nice. And then I think another thing we can actually now start to think of is where do we want to add these? Do I add those in the middle of those things? That might be the way. Just to give these a bit more detail to them. And obviously we'll need them there. We might have some extras here. And then same over here on this side, of course. Okay, I guess we can't do the last one. But we can add the skin for all of these. There we go. That should already help quite a bit. And then we can continue for this next layer. I think the next layer is actually going to be really easy again. I think that's just going to be the gates, because that's going to, I think, fit perfectly here. And I think we're just going to have windows on the end. I think having the end just be windows is just a really nice move. Get plenty of light inside, but also just, you know, enjoy all the views. And it looks nice, I think. So we can do all of those, and then I guess we do need another layer on top of these to make sure that the wall continues all the way. So we do need our actual pillars at the very end. Nope. Those ones. And then we can of course add these gates. And then, nope. We should be able to transform these into the castle too. And we can add our beautiful windows. And then we are almost ready to start on the roof. There we go. Look at that. That is definitely looking very impressive. There we go. Yeah, I do like those windows here for sure. Am I still... Nope. I'm painting the stone first. All the way around. And then red for the windows. There we go. We get some really nice windows like this. And that is already starting to look quite cool. Still plenty of room on the balcony, of course, for all of your flying friends. I mean, you know, Gigadus Modus needs to land somewhere at some point when you get it. Definitely a fitting creature for this build. And now the final layer that we need to figure out is the final roof that we can attach here to the end of this, so that we have, well, at least this section of the build completed. Now that I think of it, we probably want to have some gates in these at least. And probably just want to have them all opened, but we do want to be able to close those in between. And then, I mean, it is in essence quite easy what the shape of the roof is going to be. Just making sure that these two ends meet up, I suppose. Because that part is going to be entirely the same. Just a question of whether we want to... Oh, hello, Yuti. Whether we want to spruce things up or not. Because technically we could have a lot of little details around this edge. I also wonder if we can add any details in any other way, but we'll find out. For now, we will at least build up the roof all the way here into the building. I guess that's all really what we need here. That means it pretty well with that build, actually. That is quite nice to see. So, in theory, what we could do is basically have this kind of roof going on for this entire side, which might actually be a very nice way to give it a bit more detail. There we go. I mean, I think that works. We could even, of course, do the similar thing as we did below, but maybe we only do that for certain parts. So only above the windows we make them stick out a little bit. Yeah, because that adds just that extra little bit, I suppose. There we are. So we want to have some railings on top of all of these sections as well, of course. Awesome. There we go. And then I guess we can also start transforming all of these skins. Might have to change some of these roofs on the inside because some of them kind of poked through. Not too much actually. Okay, so we can change all of those skins as well. And just make sure that we get this entire roof looking the very best. There we go. Now, you know, potentially we can just kind of fill in that entire roof, but I'm thinking maybe there's some kind of way to spice up the roof even more. I don't know. Would that look well or not? No, maybe that's too much because it's kind of see-through as well. So I don't know if I want to go for that. That's a bit too cold in here, I think. Yeah, I do plan on building a way to the top, like a big staircase at the side. So basically what we've done now is we've blocked off this middle part, so you can use that quite early on. We've built out something here over this platform and still have plenty of balcony space for like your flies, etc. And then in one of these two sides, or both of them, we would have the staircase leading up to the top part. And then, of course, another entrance facing the other way. So it's going to be quite a big base, of course. Official build limit might struggle to do something like this. Because, yeah, it's quite a big one. Quite a big one. But yeah, I had to do something in this spot, of course, because it's such a cool and iconic location. You can see it from all over the map, pretty much. So, yeah, we got to go for it. We got to go for it. So, over here on the top, we kind of just want to at least have the top layer just be roofs. We know that for sure. And I guess we also kind of know for sure that this first layer over here is just going to be the roof. Then we'll see what else. We might have some little details alongside the roof in the middle. There we go. We can have that one. And I guess this is where those details come in again. There we go. Snap points are struggling. Nope. Struggling a little bit. There we go. I really like how they updated the snow coverage system. It's really nice. There we go. We'll have those pieces stick out again. There we are. And then we just need some railings on top of these parts. We can have one there, over here, and all the way at the very end. Get those railings looking nice. And again, we want to just continue this all over, and then we can go crazy with the lost quality skin for the remaining pieces to get the roof into shape. There we go. Oh, sometimes it's hard to see which ones we've done and which ones we've not. There we are. That should be all of the existing roof. Let's also do the top layer already. Why not? Oh, some of that is, I guess, already covered by the top layers. There we go. So that is already starting to take shape. It is a very big building for sure. Like, this is going to give you a ton of space. So next up is seeing if we want any kind of window and how big we'd want those. I don't think we want them too big, honestly, so maybe we just want to do something like this. I probably should have started at the opposite side, but this seems to work out fine. Because we could end up with some little additions in the roof. Just again to kind of break them up, because otherwise it is a rather large roof with no details or additions at all. And this way we can at least add in a little bit. Oh, we are also gonna add like that, just that little extra bit of snow that is gonna melt away. There we go. Awesome. Can do all of these. We of course can change the skins so that it should all blend into the rest of the roof now. Oh, I did not actually change all of the railings yet. We'll do that afterwards. There we are. And then, of course, the spikes on top of these parts. Yeah, that's looking quite nice. And I think what we'll do for the rest of those windows... Actually, I keep forgetting. Is there a, like, window trim for these? No. Is there a window in these? There is. So we could have those. That's probably the one to go for, because you could use the Frontier skin, of course. That's kind of what I was thinking, but this fits the vibes a bit more. We could even have them with glass inside. I guess we'll just have to figure out if we can paint the insides red, but we might be able to do that. I think that looks quite nice in general. And I guess that is the pattern to repeat on this side. So we can just start filling in the roof like this. And that should already give us the right pattern. Add those little additions. There we go. Hello there, favorite art builder. Thanks so much. Yeah, I'm doing a build right here. I mean, it is one of the more obvious locations, of course, to turn into a base. So I was very sure that when I saw this, people are gonna probably want to see something built here. And it is a pretty cool place to try and rebuild. It's actually very big. Like, there's a lot of space here. This is like a proper base. Probably don't even need all of it necessarily. Like, you have so much space for breeding and everything. And I mean, I guess if you're an official, you probably can't even build everything up as detailed as I am with structure limits, but yeah, it is a very cool spot. Although, I mean, I don't know that for sure yet, of course. I haven't built up everything, but judging by the addition we built here, to be fair, it is a rather large addition. You might struggle. Maybe we should have done the sides first. But this is looking quite nice. There we go. I think I also want to have, oops, the railings across the top of our roof. Yeah, it's a really good spot. And of course, the easy part about these kind of places is that with a few foundations and some gates, you can move in instantly because it's quite easy to secure the location, and then you can, of course, over time transform it into something cooler. Because it would really be a shame if you claim this spot and all you do is build like a box. Like, it's such a nice structure. You definitely want to try and, you know, do that justice, I think. Okay, let's add in these walls. Let's make sure we have our windows in here. And then finally change these roofs, and of course add the railings on top of here too. Awesome. There we go. And then just some more spikes, and then we should have another part of the roof done. There we go. That is starting to look quite nice. I shouldn't forget about the supports down the side here, but we are definitely getting closer and closer to actually having the whole build going here. Oh yeah, there's so I'm using the awesome ARK tools, and it has like a bubble basically that is pushing all of the creatures away so they stop interfering with me. But of course, because of the ruin here, they kind of get stuck on everything and just kind of get launched all over the place. So that's why whenever I do like tutorials or showcases or anything, if you ever see like dinos flying around in the background or whatever, it's usually because of that. They're just getting pushed around by the force field that I have, because there's nothing more annoying than trying to build and there's like a UT that just keeps roaring right next to you, especially for these types of videos. So yeah, that's why those things happen. But you know, it's quite nice because it delivers a lot of funny moments. Lots of funny moments are born because of that. There we go. There we are. That is turning into quite a nice building like this. We have, it's almost like a cathedral looking kind of thing with the round bit, but I quite like the way that's turned out. So let's quickly also add those supports around this side. There we go. Just a few of these. And then finally we have those. And the half pillars at the end. There we go. Awesome. Creating some nice arches here as supports on the side. There we go. All right. Awesome. I think that is the main hall. Oh, there we go. There's another guy that's being pushed here with his whole family trying to leave. Look at the size of this place, dude. This could be your entire crafting hall. That's probably what I'm going to make out of this. This is like a giant crafting hall. Which is quite nice. Of course, we have the upstairs layer as well, that at the very least we want to be accessible. So we definitely want to look into that. We'll open a few of these doors as well to get the vibes. Oh, I love the sounds of those gates. They're very, very nice. Okay, so at least this layer for sure is gonna cross over to the side. I would say at least the very last three, so that those layers are kind of connected. Then probably we would like to have this layer continue. There we are. That is like the walkways at the very least, I think we would like. And then at the very end, of course, we definitely have this filled in all the way, so we could utilize that for something. But again, this is a very big place in general, so there's all sorts of things that we could easily do in here. The main issue, I think, is where to have a staircase. I think that is the main challenge that we have, and I think it's probably going to end up being like somewhere over here. Although might not be the best place over there. Maybe it's better off over here. because then we could just have them coming straight down like that. Obviously, it would be on two sides, right? Or alternatively, we could maybe make it a bit grander. I mean, it is a pretty big place after all. It needs to be like a proper big castle, so we might as well take these stairs a bit more serious. We could just have a big staircase coming down here in the middle. And then potentially could do something like this. Maybe that would be a little bit more fitting. Although it kind of doesn't align in a nice way downstairs. So maybe we want to realign that slightly. By adding another layer there. And then we kind of do the same thing. So we have some stairs coming down. And then we have the platform. And we can have the stairs going off to two sides. There we go. We can, of course, add the pillars, half pillars and everything. Just a little bit more, you know, details. It's a pretty epic place, so, you know, can have some cool stairs. And I think this is probably going to be the perfect place to kind of like hide like a generator or something. Although, do you really need to hide it? Because if you're going to use skins, they look quite nice anyway. But, I mean, I guess there's an option for some hidden stuff down below. Definitely think that these look quite nice. We have the nice stairs as well. And of course, we have the railings that we can add. There we go. Yeah, we might actually just go for the full tech wall here. Or the tech wall, the Lost Colony structures there. I think we can definitely use that as a bit of accents here on the inside. Of course, we want to use the railings. We already have the little pillars. Awesome. So yeah, that's kind of how we build this all up to that top layer, which I definitely think is the way to go because it kind of fills up the room. It kind of naturally adds some dividing parts, which I think are going to be quite nice. I don't think it actually works if we have those pillars there. So I think we want to use these and then just make them stone supports, because otherwise it looks a little bit weird. And it's probably the same over here, because it blends in way too much. So we're better off adding some stone pillars underneath those to kind of break those up again. There we are. But yeah, this is going to be a pretty big crafting hall, so you can definitely get all of your different storage needs up there. And then I guess we kind of have a nice walkway around the place. Keep that open design going a little bit. There we go. Bring those around too. Yeah, I think that's a pretty obvious and nice choice. So, just a thought. I don't know if that is an option, but is there anything that I could turn this into like a bigger circle? I guess there's not. I don't know if this was the... I don't think there was anything with this variant either, was there? No, not really. Yeah, the fire's being built in. It's really, really nice. This is going to be a great place if you build your base here. Let's see. So we would have 2 layers of walls in here. No, probably we want to go for the normal castle walls, and we want to take out our paint here. We want to make sure that we paint up those large walls in the corners so they fit the vibe, and of course paint up these. There we are. Okay, and then in what way could we add details here? I guess we could kind of still have those in here. Do we want to have like interior windows? Or, oh no, actually what we could do is create some cool shapes up here with having like a little balcony. Do we want this to be a little bit bigger? No, maybe not too big. Just a nice little addition. There we go. I guess we can kind of fill in these remaining walls. Because, I mean, saves on some structures too. Nope, that's the wrong one. Okay. I don't want to overlap. There we go. So yeah, we have a nice little balcony overlooking this probably breeding area here on the inside, I'd say. Just as a nice bonus. And then we can paint this all gunmetal again, which should really help kind of blend it all in. And we might add another like statue or something on top of those. Probably want to kind of add some supports here. There we go. Yeah, I think that's quite nice. Because then you can kind of look down in here. You've got your main big gate on this layer. Plenty of room for breeding. One of these sides I might actually remove some of the smaller gates so that we have, if we turn them into breeding holes on the side, you might not want these, but we'll see. But yeah, this is definitely like a perfect crafting hall. There's so much space here. You can easily fit in all of the different structures. Get your storage system going and everything. Yeah, I think that's going to be very nice. Let's make sure that we skin these ceilings up here. Yeah, and the stained glass is really... That's really what we needed for these types of skins. So I'm glad we've found out a few alternatives, both with free cosmetics, with some paid cosmetics, and even without, like even the painted greenhouse glass I showed at the start of the stream. I still think that is a decent option too. Because yeah, you definitely, for the Gothic builds, you definitely want to have some nice stained glass, I think. There we go. I don't think we want an elevator in this part necessarily. I don't really like elevators in ARK. I would always go for, I mean, that's of course later game, depending on whether you transfer characters or not. Like on my cluster, we transfer characters. So having teleporters that are like with default destinations, so you can just click a button and instantly teleport upstairs. I think that's probably what I would go for, or even some of the modded elevators that have like tech elevators that teleport you up. Those would be great for a big build like this, I think. But yeah, at the very least, we're gonna have a way to get up and down, of course. Okay, well, this is slightly awkward. I guess we just need a bunch of these in the middle. Why is that? If I remove that one, I need to remove this one. Three, but then we still have this awkward part, so it's better to just have, I guess we'll just have a bunch of these. There we go. I mean, they do look quite nice in general, so it's not a bad thing that we have to have more of these. Does add some nice looking structures. There we go. And then, I mean, if we want to do this properly, this is going to take some extra structures, but we do at least want to have these to kind of shape up this hallway a little bit more. So yeah, I think at the very least we want to add these. Yeah, and I don't think we want to add them anywhere else. There we go. Awesome. The red light's not on all four sides with the pillars. Yeah, I don't mind that too much, but yeah, you do need to pay attention, I guess, that your pillars are kind of rotated in a similar way to avoid like weird patterns. Okay, there we go. So yeah, if we have these kind of supports going on, I think that's quite a nice addition. Makes the hall a little bit more shaped rather than being too squared. Yeah, that looks quite nice, honestly, and I think it's probably something similar that we want to do on this layer. for as far as it will let us do that. Although I've done that there, but I guess we really need to pay attention to where the windows are on the sides here. And they will need to go in between those windows, of course. There we are. I mean, that works out pretty well so far. I guess that would end up being here. Which still works very well for me. And we could have another one at these ends. There we go. Yeah, that works. I guess then the one that kind of needs to move is the first one. Because that's not in the same placement. So where we really want it then is over here. Which also should avoid any interference of the actual structure. And again, just gives a lot more shape to the place. So it's definitely not necessary for the build, but just to add a bit more shape and character to the inside of the building, I think it is very much a good addition. Well, happy birthday! Happy birthday! There we go. We will bring all of these across. Just like that. And I think that's going to give us quite a nice hallway here. Oh. Yeah, look at how much extra shape that adds to this place. That is very nice. In general, I think I'm very happy with this entire hallway that we've got going on. I think what we want to do over here is get another nice statue there, and I think we might want to do something similar over here. So if we actually open this up, I don't have to pick the skin. I can just kind of copy it over with this. So we want to copy that skin, add that over here, add it over there, and then let's not rotate. Let's scale it up, of course, but maybe also let's go for the wyvern in here. I think that is pretty nice. There we go. Nice big wyvern head. And then maybe here on the inside we go for the trike. There we go. Just adds a little bit extra detail. Probably want to have like some banners or something. If we can have those, that would be quite cool too. But in general, I think this side building, this crafting hall, which we've decided to make it, is pretty much done. Except, of course, all of the crafting utilities. But I'm not gonna start placing those down because I'd rather focus on actually building the structures on stream, of course. But It is definitely a big place, isn't it? Already this could be your whole base and you wouldn't need anything else, I think. There we go. Let's just skin this entire floor. Awesome. There we go. We have our entire hallway skinned and ready to get all... Oh no, we have not done it all. We forgot a little part here. But yeah, ready for all the structures to move in, I suppose. There's definitely plenty of space here for having like a proper forge room and of course all of your big structures. The tech replicator easily is going to fit. I mean, to be honest, like this build, not necessarily this hallway, but this build might even have space for a cloning chamber and stuff. Which probably is something I guess we should try and add to the place. We might as well for a build this size. But I guess that would be in the breeding areas. There we go. So yeah, that is this entire hall, this entire side of the building, pretty much done. Let's take a quick little look at that. So yeah, we still have plenty of space on the balcony. Very nice addition here. It almost feels small compared to the entire structure, but it is most certainly quite a big build, isn't it? It is definitely quite a big build. Don't underestimate the size. Let's make sure that we paint up these structures. There we go. All of those can be painted. And these as well, just like that. Nothing to do. There we are. I mean, this is just the start, Sarge. This is just one part of it, because I need to build all the way up to the top there. So, you know, this is this is just the side build. It's just the side. Speaking of, I guess we better kind of lay down the foundation. The question is, do we want to fill in this entire bit? Or do we shape it up? I think filling in the entire bit probably is easier. Not sure if it's wiser. But, you know, only one way to find that out. So I guess that would mean that this would be the side of the building. And then this would be the end of the building. Because we can kind of use those main pillars as actual pillars for the building. I guess that is it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we end up at the main pillar. Is that the same here? 1, 2, yeah, that's the same. So at least the building itself is kind of the same shape. I guess we can then foundation this entire side. We can have quite a big expansion. And yeah, maybe we should remove the smaller gates here, just so that this bottom area, a lot of this can be dedicated to breeding of creatures of all sizes, so we don't need to worry about them fitting through these dino gates, yes or no. That might be wise. There we go. Let's at least fill them all in. Loads of foundations going down, giving us another big area to work with. And especially if we connect this all the way up to the top, then it definitely will be big. There we go. That is one foundation done. So that's the entire addition here on this side. Basically a big square addition. And I do think I want to open that up so I can use as much of that for like breeding and everything as possible. And I think the same is going to count for the other side, because realistically all of the crafting and storage is easily going to fit in that part of the build, and it makes a lot more sense that we utilize most of the rest of the space for breeding. So yeah, I think this is the same kind of pattern that we bring out over here all the way over there, and then we bring this across once again. We also bring these back in. Oh yeah, so far they all kind of line up. I think we did a pretty good job lining up the structure, judging by this, which is always nice, because that's definitely what it depends on big time. Especially since you can never have it perfect with a lot of these ARK structures, because the pre-builds never really follow the same size and shape of a normal foundation. So it's always a little bit of a give and take, but I think we did a pretty decent job. So yeah, just a few more foundations before we filled all of this in. And then I guess we're done for foundation wise for a while, until we've built up to the top layer. We'll see how far we can get today, but we'll be back tomorrow with another stream continuing this build. Because yeah, we want to build it all the way up, and then we want to build some kind of entrance over there. So there's definitely plenty more to build. But we are off to a good start, I'd say. Let's see. I guess kind of the main designs now are these side builds. And maybe, even though I said I didn't want to, maybe we do kind of just need these, because even if we just open these up permanently, I think that still adds some interest to the whole build. Okay, so we want to have walls going across the top, and then I guess we kind of want to shape around what the gate normally would look like. So we would kind of have a little bit of an arch going on there. And I guess we want the same over here. Connect the top. And then kind of create that kind of arching shape. And then, I mean, for the rest of these layers, I would probably just fill it all in. Since it's internal walls, it makes little sense to add those little windows. So that at least gives us the main room also being filled in and done. There we go. Perfect. Don't forget to paint the large walls in the corners. And now with the new, I don't know if painting actually works in the Wisp mode. If you haven't seen it, I made a video about some of the new skills they added, which is really useful for building, because it basically gives you creative flight whilst building in survival, which is pretty amazing. I just don't know if the painting would actually work, because that would be helpful. I have a feeling it might not, because it would think the paint thing is a weapon potentially, and then you can't use it in that mode. But even just for placing down all the structures, it's a life saver. It's game changing. I don't think the Wisp has a timer. The Wisp just has a radius. Doesn't seem to have a timer. Which makes sense, because it's mostly just literally for building. Which I'm very happy to see they actually gave us a skill specifically for building. There's a few in there that are useful for building, to be fair. Alright, so there we go. We have kind of these gates into the center room, which I'm still thinking is going to be also part of breeding. And then we need to figure out the sides here, which are definitely going to be quite tall. So we'll see what kind of structure we can make here. That is potentially... Oh no, that's 4 over there. I don't know if there's actually a mill here. I don't know if those big gates are going to work here. Hello there. Welcome in. Welcome in. Used to play on your community. Been a while though. I mean, you're always welcome back. Yeah, so these side builds are gonna have to be quite tall, because this is where we want to have some kind of... Oh, you could have an elevator. It's gonna be a painfully slow elevator though. Or we could just have a staircase. Still gonna be painful to have a staircase, let's be fair. But yeah, might be a better option at least. Oh, that's not great. The hitbox of those structures seems to be quite bad on this side. Oh no, there we go. Awesome. Yeah, we can kind of fill in these corners at least, I think. Because those definitely need to be walls as much as possible. Okay. Can't have any walls next to that. How many foundations do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that would be kind of the middle, which I guess is important to know. And then honestly, we might kind of just want to build up that middle, like pretty much all the way. Oh, this is going to be a tall building, isn't it? If we have to fill all of that in. We might only build it up all the way on one side. I don't know. We can see. I guess we can see what we need. There we are. That is quite a tall build. Quite a tall build indeed. But I guess that's what it's gonna take to get a staircase up to connect the different layers. So I guess we can build this up. This probably can get that layer, because realistically we're gonna have to try and have the roof here on the inside somewhere. So yeah, channel is the best. Thank you so much. I'm glad I can help you and inspire you with your builds. Thank you very much for your message. Yeah, I mean, it definitely will be very cool. It will be a very tall building, but yeah, it's definitely going to be a cool one. Especially seeing that you'll have even more space over here, and then potentially like a big nice entrance over there. I think we probably won't build out too far over here. Just, I mean, the structures are going to be insane, isn't it? I don't know. We might kind of go out of range of each other as well. Don't know. Yeah, because this is already higher. I think... Yeah, not all of these structures are actually in range of each other, so that might actually save you if you try to do something like this on official. But you definitely want to start in the middle. That's for sure. Alright, let's build up this wall. That should do the trick for now. I guess some of that allows a wall, some of it doesn't. Most of it doesn't actually. Guess we'll have to... Oh yeah, no, most of this does not really like... Oh, this is a big part. Why wouldn't it let me snap the large wall then? I guess it doesn't really matter, those little gaps. I guess that's just something you have to take for granted if you're trying to rebuild a ruin like this. Okay, now another one where we can try and build up the walls is, of course, the front here. Which I guess is also where we can kind of better judge how tall this is going to need to be. Let's see. If I start a roof over here, does it kind of follow? I guess we don't need to... Oh, that's a large wall. I guess we can kind of probably start from here, because this is slightly steeper than the actual structure itself. So as long as we stay within the boundaries of that structure, I think that is the goal for this part. There we go. That would be our giant roof. For now, I'm just going to build this across. We, of course, might add some details to this edge. But it's nice to know kind of the boundaries of this build. And this is, I guess, the top layer, which is definitely very, very tall. But it's also good to know. It does make it a little bit easier that we can kind of just fill in within these giant pillars off to the side of the building. that really already limits like the amount of work that we need to do ourselves. But look how tall this is going to be. This is going to be insanely tall. So I think up here to the side, we're probably just going to have a few of these windows, of course. But even those that, you know, that's barely gonna fill in anything. Like it's barely made a dent. So yeah, that's gonna be interesting because of course it's not as easy to just add those windows everywhere because we'll need a layer of ceilings every time we do one of those. So yeah, that is definitely gonna be a little bit of a challenge, but I mean, just one step at a time is how we will build this entire thing. And this is definitely going to take us a while. All right, let's see. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 here. So that is actually an even number. I think what we want to do is then have 2 windows there, 2 windows here, and then probably we just want to have a wall here in the middle for now. And then have these connect back up to the sides. Yeah, I was thinking I might do a greenhouse on one of the sides. We can see if it will function, because if we're not building this all the way up, we could kind of just have like a greenhouse at one side, because, you know, your elder claws, your crops, kind of everything like that. But yeah, we'll try to make it look like a full greenhouse, and then probably because of the size limit on greenhouses, only the top layer is going to have like the full effectiveness, which is where you would do your elder claws, and then the rest of the layers you can still do your plants in different layers. And I don't know, it doesn't need to be like super efficient everywhere. There we go. We have a bit more light, but we have also a big challenge ahead of us with this structure. But we'll see where it takes us. I guess now we do in fact exactly know how tall these need to be, which is quite helpful. And then it's really going to be about just kind of filling in the gaps and seeing what works. Yeah, it doesn't seem to like the large walls in these gaps. I might be able to do it from here though. Is this still a large wall? Yes, okay, so one from the top is the large wall. There we go. Yeah, because at least filling in those sides, I feel like, is quite helpful. That's probably going to be too tall. 1, 2, 3 is what we need. But we might be able to get one on top of these. There we go. Yeah, that is one very tall wall, isn't it? Very, very, very tall. Well, you know, we'll fill it in bit by bit. I'm sure, I mean, we could actually probably also make some custom windows. Actually, that is probably exactly what we need to do. So what I need to test is, does this... No, that does not work on large walls. That is a bit of a shame. Okay, let's see. Let's make this a little bit wider, since we are working with a, you know, big building. And then I think we do want to have some details around these windows. So we can, of course, build them up a little bit. I guess we could go up like 6 high. So we're just basically gonna make some giant windows here. 6 high is not even high enough, I think. Need to go like 8. Wait, how high is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's how high we need to go. At the very least, I think. And then I guess it is kind of just building up this shape. So I think that is kind of what the shape is going to end up being. Although, now that I think of it, I don't even know if that's going to work. Because I'm pretty sure there's no window pieces for these, is there? Might have to use a different skin for these. Yeah, because this does not have a skin for these pieces, does it? Not a full window. So I might have to use the Dwarven Builders cosmetic, the Swartalfheim skin. Is that still on here? Sometimes not all the skins load in, and it's really quite frustrating. Yeah, I don't think it's loaded in. Dwarf, nope. Alright, well, just... Oh, we might actually be able to test if that has this one. But just to be sure, I am going to add one thing here, because what I can probably do, if it has loaded in my game, I can go to the build where I did use it. This is life hacks. Because if it loaded in over here, once the game catches up with the fact that I'm now here, there we go. So this skin does have these pieces, so I can copy that. So that's the Swartalfheim Dwarven Builders cosmetic, and that will allow us to build some bigger stained glass window. And that's also a free mod, free cosmetic. Let's see, do you work on all that? Oh, it does. Yeah, that's gonna save us a lot of time. So yeah, that's a life hack. With the copy tool, the variant cycle tool that I use, you can actually kind of copy and paste even if the skin hasn't loaded into your menu, which is a game changer. So yeah, this is going to be a giant double window, because I mean we need to film the size of this building, and otherwise it's going to take literal years to do so. There we go. So yeah, definitely big window, but should look quite cool. I guess the main thing is what kind of details do we want, but maybe if we do something with stairs instead of normal roofs, that could be cool. And of course it's uneven, so we're gonna have a flat bit in the middle. Oh, but I think that kind of works. I guess something like this could work, because we're building on a giant skill now. It's not the normal skill that we're used to. It's like something giant we're working on. And I think that kind of works. So yeah, we'll copy these over to all of those large walls. And then also on these on top. And then we just need to cycle through. There we go. That's going to be a big window. Oh god. What is happening? Is my game? Yeah, game's frozen. Hello, ARK. Can you come back to me? Can you let me do things again? Oh, please. Oh, please, ARK. Nope. Can't even double jump. What is going on? Do I need to reconnect? Might have to do that. You're gonna have to ask it in English, otherwise I'm afraid I can't understand it. Okay, well, I think I'm gonna reconnect because this is not working. Let's see. Let's see. If ARK wants to work with me at all. Seems to just completely have frozen. Oh yeah. There we go. It's reacting again. Oh no, it's just saying not logged in at all. Let's just restart the game entirely. That might work better. There we go. Let me back in ARK, please. Oh, yeah, this is definitely gonna be a big build. ARK is definitely arcing. Yep, it is arcing for sure. For sure. You know what? Actually, I wanted to do something to celebrate overturn to Twitch. So let's see who the lucky people are gonna be. ARK, are you arcing again? Are you? Oh, it's back. Let's see if I can join my server. I don't know what happened. Just decided to be like, maybe it's enough for you today. Hopefully not. Hopefully we can still continue. So yeah, if you didn't know, for those that prefer it, I'm multi-streaming now, and we're also on Twitch because I finally made it work again, and performance-wise, it seems to be doing fine. So yeah, we're now on YouTube and Twitch. Okay, I think I might be back in the game. Okay, so I'm gonna give away some subs on Twitch to celebrate. Okay, well, let's see. I think my game might be working again. I have to wait a little bit for skins and stuff to start loading. But in the meantime, we have some Rexes going off anyway. So here we are, back in the game. And yeah, we do need to wait for the skins to load in, because otherwise we can't really see anything at all. There we go. I don't know why it does it like 10 times, but anyway, that happened. I think there's one more Rex coming by, but my skins haven't loaded in anyway, so still need to wait. It looks a little bit silly with the metal red windows without seeing the skins, but it's a start. So yeah, we're gonna have rather large windows, and then underneath I think we want to have some supports, you know, to make this a little bit nicer. But yeah, hopefully the skins will load in momentarily. Okay, well, in the meantime, I'm just gonna continue on this wall a little bit, because now that we have our big windows, I think we can have a little bit of a wall before you know, it kind of continues up with the rest. I would like to finish at least this wall. No, actually, I would like to finish at least the stairs going up so that we can lay down the foundation here and see if that works out. But that might be quite tricky. We'll see if we can do that. Actually, you know, whilst we're waiting on the skins to load in, let's just kind of see what a potential foundation for that top layer would look like. So what I'm going to do is just bringing up a wall. This is not something we're going to keep, but this is just so that we can quite easily get a snap over to this layer. Actually seems to match up pretty nicely. And I think if I take out the foundation, oh, I need a ceiling first. There we go. So if that is a ceiling, it means that that foundation is now snapped to the same spots. So that meets up with the rest of our structure. And then we can take out this entire wall because we didn't need that anymore. But then, you know, no matter what we end up doing, whether it is a staircase or it is an elevator, that is going to meet up with this layer. And that is going to meet up with the rest of this. So let's see what that looks like for all of these different sides. I think this, I mean, it seems to meet up quite nicely, doesn't it? Where did I have the gates on the inside or the bottom? Did I have it slightly more on the inside? I think so, yeah. So let's maybe stick with that for now. Because this up here, I think, is a pretty similar room to the one below. So I think this is probably what we're gonna use. Bring this across over here too. And that is kind of the basic shape, at least. Hello there, welcome in, welcome in. Let's see, have our skins loaded in yet? Yes, they have. We can see our walls again. We can also see that this didn't go flawlessly, but now we can continue. And we have our lovely window. And that definitely is going to help a lot, just kind of making this all stand apart a little bit. Oh, there we go. The red accents at the bottom are definitely very nice. And then, of course, those pillars around the side are going to be quite good too. I guess we want to at least do that for this side here. There we go. Yeah, that definitely helps. This is ARK Survival Ascended. Yeah, those windows definitely help. I don't know if I want to have the same kind of windows right above it again. That would kind of fill in the side, I suppose. But I think a bigger worry about what we're going to do exactly, I think, is going to be, you know, trying to connect up and maybe get some stairs. Or at least get the foundation in this main building. I think. There we go. So we'll continue this all the way across. And again, these foundations now meet up with below. So that means the entire base can be connected once we start building a staircase. It's going to be the biggest stair you've ever walked on. It's going to take you about 10 minutes. But I think the elevator would still take longer because elevators are so slow in ARK, man. We really need like a tech elevator that teleports you up. That would be quite helpful. Although, I mean, you can do the same with just tech teleporters, I suppose. So maybe we don't really need them because you can kind of work around it already. There we go. So that is the top layer. And I think once again, we can kind of fill in these sides to begin with by placing down the behemoth gates. Actually on this side, we want to move the gate a little bit more inwards. Just as on the other sides. So yeah, technically it should be over here. But yeah, I guess we probably do want to have actual gates in them. Just because it looks cool. And I guess we probably just want to have like balconies over here. I feel like that makes the most sense. I don't think we need to have them stick out any further than this. There we go. Because that's going to look quite nice already. And I actually think we might have some ramps underneath this. Because then we get that little accent of red. Which is quite cool. And then we can also have these railings again, which I really like. And then I guess we can... Oh, those don't match up. We're gonna have to do something different for both of them, because otherwise I'm gonna go mad. So I guess the structure will use something else. Or potentially they don't have variants. Water. I mean, I don't know. I guess, I mean, there is water sources very close by, so potentially it's not going to be too much work. Because, I mean, I don't know if the snowstorm counts as rain, because otherwise you could also just collect water over time like that, of course. But to be honest, this is a very close water source, so you only kind of need like one extra water tank before you're into your build. So that should be fine. Yeah, and I guess this is already going to be quite easy to fill in these shapes. There we go. So 2 large walls is all we need to get up to the top here. Can I snap a wall again? There we go. I guess if it works. Oh yeah. Saves us some structures up here. But I guess we do... Oh, I think I deleted the gate. That wasn't really what I meant to do, but it is going to make this next part a little bit easier because we do want to have a little bit of the shape in here. And then we should be able to easily add in the gate itself. There we go. Awesome. There we go. I guess over here, potentially, I guess we could have some windows. Because, I mean, this is going to be visible. And then we might want to have a cool statue there. Fill in all of those. There we go. We'll focus on skinning it a little bit. For now, I think I'm just gonna try and at least fill in the basics of these walls, because we've kind of already done that down below. And at least for this part, we just kind of need to have the same shape going on. So it's rather easy to fill in all of these. And there we go. I guess then 2 windows like that. And then if we can get the right snap points, you want to have those. Yeah, you should totally be able to do it with tanks from that waterfall. Not too tricky, I think. And once you get it into the tower, I think it's easy to connect the different layers. Because even if you can't necessarily, like if the top layer and the bottom layer are too far apart, if you bring over the water over here from the waterfall, you could have some water connections down here and up here, and it would still reach. But I'm pretty sure you'll be able to get bubbles touching each other from up and down, making sure you have irrigation going on everywhere so you can drink wherever you want and need it. Which is, of course, probably the way you want it, because kind of nice just to be able to have a drink, since this base is so big that it would be a bit annoying if you couldn't get it connected. There we go. We can build this up. We can get this connected from one side to the other. Do want to fill in those sides. It was a little bit hard to do from below, but this still works. Get some windows in there. And then if we can, there we are. That is the shape, or the walls we want, and then we want to shape it up. get these entrances going. Awesome. So yeah, we'll fill up those sides here. And then the final wall is over here on this side. Just repeating the same. I guess not on this part, actually. We don't need it because that's still inside technically. Since we have the way up over here. There we go. And then we just need to shape this up and it should all align as we like it to. I guess we just need some doors in here, some windows. There we go. That should help us just fine. I guess this can turn into another balcony. Since, I mean, not a lot of space here, not necessarily anything we need over here. So we can just kind of also build this into a nice balcony we can fly in and out of. And then just nice railing along the side. Some ramps down below. Okay, yeah, for some reason it doesn't like me building anything in that specific corner, but we'll be at least able to add in a few details like this. There we go. Just to make this look a little bit nicer, we can of course skin these with the Lost Colony ones to get a little bit of that red glow in here. And then we also want to add in the balcony and the railings, of course. There we go. So yeah, that's that side done. Of course, need to skin those with the right structures. Same over here. Then here we can still build something, but we'll do that, I think, next stream, because that's going to take too long to do all of this. But at least it gives us some decent options here. And we have, again, this is quite an easy place to just fill in. But of course, the important part is that we connected the two snap points, because that's going to be very useful. And I guess the next step we really want to do is to somehow connect these layers and build out or staircase down, which is going to be something. I think at least this layer needs to be filled in with ceilings so that the door can still open without issues. And then I guess this is where the staircase is going to start. And we'll see how far this is going to take us. It's probably going to be quite a big staircase, because it's a big tower to get up and down. There we go. That should meet up here again. We can build that against the existing structure. Kind of, I don't know if we want to build all this. Can't really do a lot with it, but yeah, we can turn around at least, and then we can build the next layer of the staircase going down. This is going to be a crazy staircase going up and down this. But I still feel like the elevator would be way too slow for this size. It's going to take you literal years if you wanted to do it with with like an elevator. Yeah, the only downside here is we don't kind of want to just block the stair or the entrance here. So I think what we need over here is probably a way to connect. Like we might have a little bit of a layer over here. And then of course we'll still need to find a way down to the bottom layer. Well, yeah, that is a pretty big stair coming down here. I guess we can have this connected all the way. There we go. That seems fine. And then, I mean, it's probably the easiest just to have the stairs come down this side. Because, well, otherwise it's going to be quite tricky anyway. There we go. Meets up nicely in the corner, not too weird or too tricky. I guess we definitely want to have some railings because you don't want to fall down here. I mean, if you walk down this, you better be careful. You don't want to come tumbling down all the way. Guess we do have a little extra platform here. I mean, potentially you could of course add more layers if you want to have different layers for breeding, but I think we'll have so much space in this base, we don't really need to. The skins for the windows, there's two skins that I'm using. These ones, because they also work on slope walls, are the Svartalfheim Dwarven Builders cosmetic, which is free, which is a really nice one because it has large walls, it has normal walls, it has slope walls. And then over here, it is actually Castle Craft, but then painted to be red, so it fits the theme a little bit more, but also looks very, very nice. And of course the added bonus that we also have these bricks from Castlecraft that are painted, and still need to paint those up there. But yeah, they do really help with a more neutral wall than the Lost Colony structures. Definitely recommended. Okay, so we have the stairs and the railings up to this point. I guess we want to make sure that we continue them up here. All the way, and then I can do the same thing over here. Make sure that we have some safe railings, of course. There we go. So that means all the way up, and then I guess we can have a railing there. We don't need there, there's going to be a wall. And then we can have another giant staircase. But yeah, this is probably the best way. I wouldn't want to take an elevator. We once had a base on Aberration with a giant elevator, and they take so long. Also, very likely that I couldn't even get it up this high, because it would probably be outside of the generator range, and it would need another generator. And also, I don't know if there's even the option to make elevators this tall. There's a lot of problems that might occur, so this is probably the most convenient way. It's not the most beautiful way, but it's pretty space efficient this way. I mean, it's not too bad, actually. It's not too bad. And we still keep most of the room here, so for breeding, you can still use this entire room pretty much for all of your different breeding projects, which is quite nice. So I think what we will do here is some of these are going to be gates. I think the middle ones are going to be gates, and then we're going to have windows on the sides. Same over here, so that we can still reach the balconies on the side. There we go. Just bringing those in a little bit. Giving those extra details there. Let's see. What do we add? I mean, it's starting to take shape. It definitely, oh, it disappeared. Starting to take shape. No, it disappeared. No, it's starting to take shape for sure. I don't think I'm going to be able to finish this entire wall, but we do have a good basis down now to finish this structure. I definitely don't think we'll build up the entire side on the other side as well. That's just going to be way too much. So I do think we'll probably try to get greenhouses going on that side. And then up here, potentially, we can build something of a nice entrance, but probably not all the way there. Maybe up to like halfway up the bridge or something. Some nice castle-looking entrance. I think that would be nice. In general, though, definitely one of the cooler base locations here on Lost Colony. If you can get this, if you're playing on server, definitely a big win. Definitely some cool stuff you can do here. And if you're not playing on server, and you're playing single player, then definitely a good option, because, I mean, plenty of space, obviously, as you can see. So much space. All the space you'll need, I'm pretty sure. I'm very confident in saying that you won't run out of space. Actually, before we do anything else, or call it a day, the cloning chamber. I want to see... Oh, it's going to fit so easily. Like... Okay, I can't enable snapping, obviously, because that's going to just mess things up. But, yeah, potentially... could just have a cloning chamber in here. With a room to spare. This might be the ultimate base location. Look at that. That's so much space there. Yeah. I hope we can get a cool skin. Although, with this gothic-y, techy skin of Lost Colony, we kind of can get away with having some tech structures here and there. Anyway, I think that is going to be it for today's streams, guys. Or stream. Just one stream we did. I think it's going to be it for this stream today. I will be back tomorrow around the same time, I think. And we will hopefully finish this base. But it is starting to come together quite nicely. I quite like the look of this. And I think it's going to be an amazing base to use. Kind of dreading that I'm not going to use this for survival. But this is so much space. Let's take a quick overlook of what we've done so far. So we have laid down the bases here for the top layer with this main room. Definitely a lot of space already. We'll have a little expansion here on the outside as like one of the entrances that lead off into the mountain passes up here. We have done the bases of this side building, which has the giant staircase leading up to the top layer, basically connecting bottom and top with each other. And of course, we have the main crafting and storage hall that we managed to design and build, which is looking definitely very, very nice. And then we have the foundations ready for this side building, which is going to include at least the greenhouse as well. What we might do is have like a layer at the bottom here for breeding still, and then a greenhouse on top, and then not go all the way up, because there's no way and no real use for that. We have another main entrance here, which leads down this mountain path, and that also connects up to the side building here, which is going to be the giant tall one with the stairs. Easily fits a cloning chamber. We of course have this main room, which is definitely a really cool room that I think is mostly going to be for breeding. And then we have the crafting hall, the main thing that we did today, that we worked on at the start, which is definitely looking really nice, especially once I put all the utilities in here. But yeah, you're going to have plenty of space for all of your crafting, your forges, your storage needs. And then we have a second layer here as well with some more room up there. We have some nice balconies around the sides. Hello there. Thank you so much for becoming a builder. Thank you for the support. Yeah, we have plenty of space around the sides as well to walk around on the balconies. And of course, the balcony overlooking then the main breeding hall and the main hall itself, which is quite cool, I think. I think this is definitely gonna be a pretty epic base. And hopefully... Oh, there's a little drakeling attacking those baby birds. And hopefully you enjoyed. Hopefully you will be there again tomorrow when we continue the build. Thank you so much for joining me today. And yeah, don't forget to leave a like if you haven't already on YouTube. Subscribe or follow. And I hope to see you again in the next stream or the next video. Plenty of more videos coming pretty much every day. So yeah, I'll see you there. For now, goodbye. And thank you.